I'm here today because I need to share a story with you. It's a story about responsibility, about human connection, and about how we're building a new way to care for people who feel invisible in our society. Okay, so let's get right into it. This whole mission, everything we do, it really all started with one client and one moment of silence that taught me the true cost of being alone. When our very first client said those words to me, it wasn't a celebration. It wasn't a pat on the back moment. It was heavy. It was this profound, sobering realization that we were literally standing in the gap between isolation and survival for the people we serve. Let me tell you about Grant. It started with something simple, a missed daily check-in email. No big deal, right? But then we tried again and again. Just silence. And that feeling in your gut just starts to grow. So I made the call to emergency responders for a wellness check. They found him unresponsive. That call saved his life. And once you understand what that silence really means, there is no way to unsee it. That experience completely changed the trajectory of my life.
So that single event, saving that one life, it wasn't the end of the story. It was the very beginning. It became the foundation, the bedrock for our entire mission.
And that's when we created Personal Care Calling Services, or PCCS. Some people know us as Daily Peace of Mind Communications. The goal was, and is, incredibly simple: to communicate consistently with people who are isolated. And what does that look like in practice? Well, it's everything from daily reassurance calls to simple medication reminders, wellness check-ins, companionship calls. It's about providing a personalized, no-cost service, a trusted human voice that brings a little steadiness, a little concern, and a whole lot of hope. And we hear from families all the time about the peace of mind this brings. But here's the thing that really gets me. For about 80% of our recipients, we are their only emergency contact. Think about that for a second. There is no one else listening for that silence. And it's not just about the calls. It's also about showing people they matter in small, tangible ways. We provide things like memory care notebooks, Bibles, gift cards for groceries, little things to give them hope. But we ran into a really heartbreaking reality pretty quickly. The need out there was just growing way faster than our resources could ever keep up. We had so many wonderful people asking to volunteer, but without consistent funding, we just couldn't bring them on. We couldn't train them, we couldn't support them in a way that was safe and responsible. The goodwill was there, but the structure wasn't.
This is what we hear most often, and it just exposes the real stakes here. Goodwill alone can't solve this. It just can't. So with that gap widening between our responsibility and our resources, I started looking for a new way, a new tool to protect this mission.
Now, I know that skepticism towards crypto and the charity world is completely reasonable. That's why we built the Quality of Life token. We call it QOLT for short, with one and only one purpose: to transparently fund our human-centered work.
So here's how it works. On the left, you have our lifeline of care, the real human work we do every day. And on the right, you have the technology that makes it sustainable. One fuels the other. And look, this really illustrates our commitment. A full 25% of the total supply is permanently delegated to the charity. It's locked in the code itself. It's not a promise. It's a structural guarantee that funds will always be there for our recipients. This is all about creating a system where every single bit of support reaches its destination with absolute, verifiable impact. You don't have to just trust us. You can see it for yourself on the public record. I have to be really clear. This was never about replacing human care with technology. It was about protecting it for the long term. This whole mission, it comes from my own heart. It comes from the pain of having no family left. I know what that isolation feels like. I built QOLT so that I would never have to beg for a donation to save a life ever again.
See, the long view matters because the people who depend on our calls, well, they can't afford inconsistency. Responsibility is what makes sure this work endures.
So, I'll just leave you with this thought. How will you be remembered? As someone who just watched from the sidelines? Or as someone who used their success to make absolutely sure that no one is left feeling invisible?